excellent books that we continue to read in the Money Book Club. So hi, everybody. My name is Sheetal Gurung, and welcome to this evening's book reading and discussion. Online Money Book Club is an initiative by Women on Wealth, where we read books on personal finance, investing, habit, and mindset building. And it's especially, I personally feel it's especially a place for women who are brand new, who are just embracing the idea of working on their financial life, and books become a great resource of getting ourselves acquainted with this new subject. And inside of that, we have read a ton of books in the Money Book Club, and currently we are reading and enjoying this amazing book titled The Financial Diet. Last week we took on reading chapter 3, and today we will discuss pointers from chapter 3 on career, and then move on to read about how we spend money, manage money on food. So that's the plan for today. And for anybody who's watching us on any of our social media platforms, if you'd like to be a part of the Online Money Book Club, then the description of this video has the direct link to join us on Telegram, where throughout the week we are reading and sharing insights from the book. And once a week we come online on a Friday evening, just like now, and discuss the book. So warm welcome. Somebody is joining us, it's Galaxy, so please let me know who you are so I can rename you. Hi Preeti, thank you so much for joining. And Suman, thank you for being here. So let's begin, guys. I know Suman was sharing that she has not begun reading this book. And what about others? Preeti, have you been able to catch up with this book?
Yes, I've started reading it. I've reached the chapter, I think it's chapter 4, the one about food. So yes. I have caught up.
Thank you so much. And so how has your experience been? I know you started with reading with us last week, and now you have read the past chapters as well. So what are some takeaway for you? How has the reading come along for you?
I would say it's an easy read.
Definitely.
Because even if you do not relate 100% with her situation, yet you can see parallels in certain things. And I think what I found most interesting was that, she talks about her younger days when she was maybe, I would say, like a irresponsible or a typical teenager, or just out of school, not really concerned about what her tomorrow would be like. But she seems to have got a hold on herself pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then I think almost everything that she is saying makes sense. That don't only think of today, yes, but also think of what you would like to be in the future. And once you know that, once you sort of see, I've read quite a bit, so I don't know whether what I'm talking about comes later or has already been is part of the thing. Okay. When she talks about, like, say, you're working, you have to decide what sort of a persona do you want to present to the world. And once you are clear about that, then work towards it. It might not be what the world expects you to dress like, or your particular company expects you to dress like. Basically, I think what I got from it is that you understand yourself, then be confident about who or what you are, and carry on. And bit by bit, the wisdom that she's imparting through the book, it makes sense to me. I'm enjoying reading the book.
Thank you for sharing with me, with all of us. Hi, Rupal. Thanks for joining in. And I think I've come to a point where every time we introduce a book, I'll begin by thinking to myself that, oh, I have read it all. We've read so many books, the teachings are going to be the same. However, each book happens to surprise me. And I like the format of the book as well, and how definitely for anybody who is starting off on working on her financial life, really nicely written, in a fun manner, in a really young manner. I think even the language that she chooses to use,
Yes, very young. It's a
very young. And then I also like how she has shared how within the industry, within that segment, she has interviewed other people, and she brings in the learning and inputs from them and has planted them in the book, plus the snapshot of questions that I've been sharing. A lot of our members within the community have found, last week I shared the one on budget, and people really loved, and the timing was great, because it was the end of the month and everyone was on to doing their monthly tabulations. So they really found it helpful. And today, the questions on career as well. So a lot of the members found the questions to be quite refreshing, with regards to how they may review their career and what steps they want to take. So I am myself enjoying the format. I'm really looking forward to what she says more around the next chapter, in the next chapter around food, one of our favorite items, that I think one of the items where we spend quite a lot of money, so I look forward to that. So yeah. Hi Rupal, how about you? Have you been reading this book? Have you started? Okay. So,
I have not actually, but I joined in because I really wanted to get some inspiration, to start reading again. Yeah.
okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to, while Garima also joins in, so I have highlighted some pointers from the chapter that we just read on career, and how in one of the pages she says, you have to have financial stability to pursue your professional dreams. This means being brutally honest about your spending habits and lifestyle, and deciding where you can cut to make room for a little more flexibility and time. And this is, a lot of people aspire to do more things in life, and but for stability's sake, we also take on a job. At the start of our career, we take on a job, and then we want to do something else. But it's so important to have that financial stability first, to even then branch out. So will always, I think from this I can go back to that there will always be a time where you may be working a little more hard, stretching yourself to really build that financial stability before we can really branch off to doing something else, which may be passion or anything else, change of industry, right? It takes me back to that conversation, and to really be brutally honest about your spending habits. So it's a good reminder, is what I see, and I resonated. So I've highlighted that about in this page. And something else she has written: ultimately, a job, no matter how much you love it, will never hit every note for you, and it shouldn't. We should all strive to find multiple streams of fulfillment, challenges, and income. And this line particularly takes me to that initial conversation around work. And I also used to live in this bubble that work has to fulfill me completely. Happiness, work has to be the source of happiness as well. My employers must love me. I must love the pen, the coffee machine, everything about my company. I used to live in that kind of a bubble until I had this conversation within the Money Gym program back then, where we talked about what is the role of money, of a job, in a simple way. That's how I could relate to the comment. What's the role of a job? Like, why do we even go to work? I think at the really primary level, we go so that we can earn money. We exchange our time, energy, skill to bring some money into our life, and then do other things. So the role of I think somewhere because again of how people just relate to a job, there are there are just these conversations about the workplace has to make you very happy. Everybody must keep you happy, and all of those. And those conversations perhaps have had an impact. But really, I learned that the role of your workplace, of your work that you have, is really to just provide you money in exchange for the time, energy, skill that we give. Then you have the rest of your time to bring joy, fulfillment from other areas that you can do, right? So if you're not happy, it's fine. I think that also makes the going to your work every day a little more easy. Work doesn't have to make you happy as such. So this was quite liberating for me to know that, okay, when I go to my workplace, I exchange my time, skill, and I earn money. And there are other places where I can really bring joy and fulfillment from. So that was quite liberating for me. So I'm sharing it here. Then she goes on to furthermore say, the more we rely on one role as an all-encompassing definition, the unhealthier our relationship with that role becomes. So I would like to just throw it to the group here. What comes to your mind when you hear this line? The more we rely on one role as an all-encompassing definition, the unhealthier our relationship with that role becomes. Does it make sense to you? I would like to explore this.
I think it sort of refers also to the work-life balance. Work should be work. There are other areas of their life which should be apart from work, because I feel that if your work, your job is the only thing that you identify with, then if for whatever reason that job, you do no longer have that job, you'll be absolutely demoralized and devastated, because that was your life. You couldn't think of anything beyond that. In fact, that is also the reason many people who retire and who have had no life other than their job, they find themselves at a loss, because they feel that ab to zindagi khatam ho gayi. But if you work at your job and also lead a fulfilling life otherwise, then I think you're more likely to be a happier person all around, because your identity is not restricted to just your job title. That is what I feel. I think she has brought it out very beautifully. And yes, and sort of this book again and again keeps on reinforcing the things that we now accept, that multiple sources of income. And I think emergency funds before other forms of investment, all that sort of, it reinforces the things that we have, we believe in.
Thank you for building on it.
I think also, like, when we just relate to like one identity or one role for ourselves and also for others, it's very limiting, because we have like a lot of potential in a lot of things. We are interested in a lot of things, we do a lot of things. But when we just put like a tag, look at this person is this or I am this, then we are just like limiting ourselves. It's like it's like how when you see of all these old classic people, like let's say Rabindranath Tagore, or people like, they did not have like one identity. They were poet, they were freedom fighters, they were also literary, like giants, and there were so many roles that they played in their lives, which is something I always find very inspiring, that to know that we are like a addition of like a lot of things.
Thank you so much. And someone has joined this Galaxy M10. I would request everybody to log in to be joined in with your name. Please do check, guys. Okay. Otherwise, I may have to just drop you out of the webinar, the session. I may have to do that. Please rename yourself. Thank you. Hi, Jisha. Thank you for joining us. Okay. God, that's Sneha and Garima. Anything from you on career? How are you today?
Doing good. So I think, it resonates because as much as we want to focus on our career and we want to grow in it, at the end of the day, the prime motivation is whatever we want to say, it's always money. And I think that's when the charm of being part of that or selecting that career starts to fade away. And I think that's what she's saying, that, don't just rely on one work type that you're doing to the point that, you just no longer, kind of want to do it. So, you should have maybe 2 or 3 hobbies. So your side hustle could be one hobby where, you can just excel in your career, but you should enjoy your other side hustle maybe. But it happens, we get so bogged down with the corporate requirements that the career doesn't have that charm anymore with which you start. 10 years down the line, you're just dragging it. So selecting the career is very, very crucial. Like she writes that, think about what time you have to wake up. So don't select something and add pressure to yourself, basically. Otherwise, you don't enjoy it. And then women, I think we do it so often. That's my take on career. As far as work-life balance is concerned, I'll be very honest, I find it very cliche that everybody says have a work-life balance and everybody has their opinion. In my opinion, you can never balance work with life and you can never balance life with work. The only thing that one has to make an attempt is that when you are working, please don't bring your home to your work. And when you're at home, don't bring your office to home, like we say. And I think in the last 2 years, that line has blended somewhere, which is why there's so much of the great attrition or people being more stressed out, even though people are working from home. So I think work-life balance is very cliche thing. Nobody can achieve it. Nobody should aim to achieve it also. Your work is work, your life is life. You cannot balance them. You just have to know when I have to give little extra to the work and when I should withdraw from it. And that is the only thing which is in our control. So I somehow find this thing about work-life balance. It's not that it's as easier said than done. It just shouldn't be done. I should put a full stop when I shut down my machine to not talk about it.
I think that's just setting a boundary, right? Okay, so up
Correct.
until here is work, and then life begins, or work, home begins. So whatever else we may want to do. So for the benefit of, by the way, there's a question from Rupal on who all has a side hustle. And as I was reading, I think, yeah, I don't. Then I started to also question, do I need to? Like the book emphasizes on it. And do I need to, apart from my investments that we all do now, what else? And how do we know that we need to have it? Just this morning, I was reflecting on it, that when I had a full-time corporate job, yes, on the side, I was building myself at Women on Wealth. Now, when I'm here full-time, 100%, and with whatever we are creating, I can't think of a side hustle, so it's at this point, it's a no for me. I don't see the focus is really on building the community and building the pushing the mission forward. But what about that's me, that's where I am. What about others? And what, do we need to, do we still, of course, COVID, I think, helped us all see that have multiple sources of income, and each one of us is building that through our investments, which will take some time. Anything else that anybody is?
It's also, I think, what's the motivation, like how you said, right? What's the motivation behind having a side hustle? If it's only for money, let's say, right? Then the amount of time I'm gonna invest in building that hustle. If I invest that time in the current job, what would be the percentage increase, let's say? Because I might do like a training or a certification, I might get like that kind of a bump in my current job as well. Or how do I value uh, having those extra 2 hours in a day? You know, do I value more than having like a side hustle?
Side hustle is something that I should enjoy, and that's what we even read in the almanac of what's his
Ravikant.
name, Ravikant.
Mm.
And most of the people have said that, and when I'm referring to people, I'm talking about people, the mentors on online that we see today. That side hustle should be something that you enjoy doing because you don't want to kill it. Otherwise, it becomes a career, and then it's boring,
Yeah.
right? You're dragging it. If you're a musician, you may want to go start playing in a restaurant, Friday evenings. It gives you fulfillment that you're able to showcase your hobby and you're making some money out of it. If it gives you fulfillment to teach some people, you can pick up tuition or something. I think that's what a side hustle to me will be. But if I have to compare it to another course to add another layer to my career, that is, I can't compare that. I may want to do a course to move ahead in my career because that's the competition demand. But side hustle should be more something which I enjoy, and I'm not going to kill myself for it. Just then, don't go out and play the music. But if you enjoy playing music, you might as well teach children, or you might as well do something like that. So to me, that's the side hustle which gives you something extra with not much क्या बोलते हैं उसको, investment maybe.
Yeah. Maybe it's like not a drag. It's something you just enjoy doing. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything.
That's why they say that you should have 2 or 3 hobbies. One which you build your career in. The second is as a side hustle, which are you want to blend your passion and investment earnings. And third is something you just do it for your own sake. So that's side hustle. But in India, I don't think.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm saying in India, we never had that concept, because from the age-old society, it has always been taught, go to school, get graduated, pick up a 9 to 5 job, and then, move on. I think the new age, the millennium or whatever, the Z, the new generation, is more in tune and in touch with their, their inner self. They don't want to go kill themselves in a 9 to 5 job. They are openly asking for, what do you call that, part-time working or, doing something that fulfills them. Even if it is travel, even if it is Instagram, you do YouTube videos or whatever you want to do. I think they are actually being able to have a job and a money-making hobby as well. So I think that's the difference I have seen in the comparison of yours.
In the past, it used to be that go study, get a job, and then stick to that job for 20-30 years, and then
until you don't retire.
Yes,
people retire from one company only.
Yeah, things change where it was then job hopping was a bad thing. Then that narrative also changed during our time, where if you job hop, then you are gaining more experience, or it's no longer about that loyalty, as in even if you give 3-5 years, where one is absolutely clear, where is this taking me in my career path, so that kind of if the person has clarity and vision, then strategically you hop jobs, so things are changing, and now yes, you do one job and others as well. So I think Preeti wanted to add something, and to support Rupal, we could, there are some parts in the book I would like to read for Rupal and everybody else, where the serial side hustler has responded to some questions which might be of support. But over to you, Preeti, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that, a side hustle could often be not a choice, but a necessity. For example, if somebody is in a job that is not paying enough for their needs, then they might need to do other things that brings in the money. It may or may not bring them joy, but at that point, having enough money to sort of fulfill their needs might be
The priority.
maybe a necessity that they need to do.
Actually, I agree with Preeti
Yeah.
because that happened to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't, making enough money to cut it at one point. So I took up a side hustle where I would give voice lessons, and it was, it was something I definitely did enjoy, um, but it helped me at that time. It really did, you know. So I think it depends on what meaning you derive from it or what role it can play in your life. And it can also become a main hustle. I've seen that happening as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for adding that from your personal life. And Rupal, and for everybody else, this is what, when she interviews one of the serial side hustler, then the question she has asked here is, what is your overall theory or mantra when it comes to side hustles? Do you still have them now that you have do you still have them now that you have an ideal job? So this lady has talked about, so read this, it's great. So she says, check in with yourself, challenge the sunk cost fallacy, the belief that you can't walk away from something because you've invested too much time, emotion, value already, and you need to see it through. You don't. If a side hustle isn't as fun or lucrative as it was in the beginning or in your imagination, walk away, find the next project. Then she said, I'm not off the side hustle market, but I'm a lot more selective now. Then for anybody who has been thinking of a side hustle, but maybe not able to give time because of the kind of work you currently do, the question she's been asked is, what would you say to someone who feels too tired at the end of the day to do anything else? There are legit reasons someone might need their post-work energy, like keeping another human alive. But one thing I can suggest is looking for side hustles that don't use the same part of your brain as your job. If you're on a computer all day, you might want to try something physical or intuitive, like I make and sell tinctures, for example. If you work in a corporate environment, babysitting might be an enjoyable contrast. Choose something that invigorates you and strengthens your skill set. And be honest about how you're budgeting your time. If you're shuffling through the happy hour to hangover pipeline, of course you're going to be tired at the end of the workday. Work-life balance is important, but I admittedly sacrifice a lot of early mornings and weekends to make the freelance or full thing work. So these are some responses. And then on this chapter, you might find other answers as well. And this reminds me of a time when I nearly took up this looking for an additional source of income many years ago. And I had my full-time job and I had just started with Money Gym. Then, of course, my financial plan told me that I had to create extra money. Then I started looking. And then I found this thing on, I even given an interview online, you have to be part of this chat where you chat in English and then you're also helping the other person. This was maybe a Japanese to English sort of a thing. So a Japanese person is on the other line and we're just on chat. And I used to be really good at texting, and my work, what I did in my full-time job sort of also, that skill set would help me with the chatting job that I wanted to take up. But, they were paying me so less. And then my real hourly wage, the amount of energy I would input and the money they were giving me wasn't a match at all. Then I decided to drop it. But if for extra money, I had looked up, I had almost forgotten about this opportunity. Thanks to today's conversations, I even tried that. I have tried giving tuitions. I did it actually, giving tuitions to homemaker as well, to a homemaker. I did that. My God. And then she wasn't making a lot of progress. Then, to some students as well in Delhi, one or two children, and then this homemaker. I did that for a very short time, but it wasn't my thing. Yeah, then I stopped it. But yes, those were some things I did. Hi, Sarah, Usha, Rashmi, thank you for joining. Meryl, thank you for joining. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add before we move on to read about food in the next chapter? Yes. Chapter 4 is on how to be your own Italian grandmother. Who would like to read for the community? Can we have a wow session of potential side hustle? I think this has been in demand. Okay, we will think about it. Okay, anyone who would like to read for the community? If you have the book open, that's great. You can share and then read from there. Okay, please bring in the collaborations. That's great. If you have anyone who would like to do it for the community, always open to that idea. Okay, so let's have welcome back reading by Preeti. Can I invite Preeti?
Sure. You've put it on screen, I can read it.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
I'll
here.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, should I start?
Yes, please.
How to be your own Italian grandmother. Feed yourself like you were a welcome guest in your own home, not an ex you were trying to get rid of. Yeah. Most of my memories of my mother are in the kitchen. Cooking wasn't her only area of expertise, but the kitchen always felt like her domain. A place that to me was at once magical and deeply familiar. Nearly every night I sat on the counter or ran round her feet, tasting and stirring and eventually chopping, helping her to make something great for dinner. Growing up in my family, restaurants were a rare luxury and prepackaged foods were nearly unheard of. When I'd go to friends' houses, the first thing I'd do was raid their pantries, gorging myself on snack foods. I'd marvel at my friends' abilities to dictate the food they were served, or the fact that dinosaur chicken nuggets and fries existed outside of birthday parties. I wanted nothing more than a box of Kraft mac and cheese uh, when my mother was constantly serving orecchiette with broccoli rabe. My birthday breakfast request was always cream cheese and strawberry toaster strudel, an exotic delicacy that so many of my friends seemed to get all the time. As a result, and from what I have noticed of my friends and colleagues, much of our generation regards home cooking as simultaneously scary and far too much of a hassle. This costs us deeply in our own connection with food. Just a minute. Yeah, and where it comes from. But it more immediately costs us in our checking account. Being one of those millennials who eschews home cooking completely for a rotating cast of seamless orders and bar food means living an unnecessarily expensive life. On the opposite end, we have the foodie millennials whose pendulum has swung so far in the other direction that every meal they cook looks like some kind of Food Network competition segment. Foodie culture may have gotten us looking at a lot of well-lit pictures of spicy tuna rolls on Instagram, but it hasn't gotten us into an affordable and effective everyday food routine. Now, of course, I spend a lot of time apologizing to my mother for all the shit I gave her about my own food upbringing. More than anything, the way she raised me has taught me that cooking for oneself and one's family is an imperative of everyday life, and that going out or ordering ordering in is, without exception, a treat. This perspective is financial more than anything. And when I was young and my family faced serious financial insecurity, home cooking and being frugal in the kitchen were crucial to our survival. Learning to cook well and often was about pragmatism first, passion second. This was true of my mother and her grandmother, who came from Naples with a big wooden spoon that alternated between stirring her magnificent sauces and keeping her enormous family in order. Few choices we make in life will have as much of a sustained and profound impact on our budgets as learning how to cook and embracing it as a daily necessity. Master your kitchen, master your wallet. Once we get over the idea that food must always be cool in some way or look perfectly Instagrammable, it immediately becomes easier to make it work as an everyday thing. We should embrace the delicious yet utilitarian approach. Just a minute, I've missed the line. Delicious yet utilitarian approach of the mythic Italian grandmother. She's always whipping something up based on what's around, what's in season, and what's about to go bad. She cooks in big quantities, freezes what keeps well, and focuses more on moderation than any particular diet. A little bit of everything, too much of nothing. Her foods are filling, well seasoned, and budget friendly. As my mother would always say, meat should be the treat, not the focus of the meal, if for no other reason than because it's expensive. I promise, if you embrace the Italian grandmother mindset and make cooking an everyday thing, you will set yourself on the path to mastering your own culinary domain. To help with that, we've created the 10 commandments for being your own Italian grandmother. How to be your own Italian grandmother. 1, never waste your groceries. You buy it, you find a way to eat it. 2, think in ingredients, not in individual meals. What can you get the most out of? 3, always big batch and freeze your 5 foods, sauces, your S foods, sauces, soups, stews. 4, think in 2 portions, one for tonight, one for lunch tomorrow. 5, keep your spice rack full and your garlic basket fuller. 6, have at least 10 recipes in your back pocket that you can make by heart in under 30 minutes. 7, make the meat the guest star of your plate, not the main character. 8, when you buy or make good bread, get extra and freeze it. 9, know what to make from scratch and when to save yourself the trouble. 10, for big cooking days, always have a good glass of wine to sip.
I'm tempted to pause here because I think these commandments are really cool. And I'm sure there will be many, many ideas that we can together generate so that we can have heavier wallets. Yes, I particularly loved the second one, think in ingredients, not in individual meals. What can you get the most out of? And then for me, it's always a tray of eggs. I like it in any form. It is easy and nutritious. It's my go-to item. And I also learned this, number 8, when you buy or make good bread. I was visiting a relative, and that's when I saw that, she had she took the bread out of the freezer, and then she just, maybe they were sliced already. But I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So guys, please share.
I learned the possibilities of freezing food during COVID, because I realized it, because I think It's the same thing with me. I don't like cooking. I find it very, very cumbersome. I don't know why it feels, but but I have, the funny thing is, I've watched my dad and my grandfather, everybody cook in like a jiffy. In less than half an hour, they can prepare full meal. तो मैंने कहा कोविड में मैं ना खाना बना के दाल, राइस, everything I would freeze कि मुझे हफ्ते भर तक कुक ना करना पड़े. But I like the idea. We always say meal prep, and then it is more consuming than just thinking what all can I make with one ingredient. So I think I'll try thinking about that, because whenever I think about meal prep, I get very confused. I'll try it. But I like the 10th one, I'll be very honest.
Yeah.
Friday night.
Thank you for sharing that, Garima. Anyone else who's getting ideas or who are using ideas currently on which is saving you money, getting more value out of the items that you bring home? Please share.
This actually reminds me of an anecdote from the Money Gym program. There was a time when I had like a pretty expensive cook, and Sheetal was telling me, you have to get rid of her and you got to cook yourself. And I said, no, my nutrition is very important. I can't deal with it and whatnot. And within a week, the cook ran away. The universe just made her disappear. And since then, I never have a cook. Like, I just cook everything by myself. And I've seen that it has led to savings, financial, better health, more energy, more attention to nutrition, and also like more joy, I think, generally, like, making a meal for a friend or experimenting. I think it's been a good journey, but it is also a bit frustrating. Like, there's work involved for sure,
Yeah. For me, the most frustrating part is always having to decide again and again. That's the most frustrating part, and the meal prep is really to not have to decide over and over, right? You can have a routine. Okay, I am going to eat these dishes, and then you buy your stuff accordingly. So the whole idea of just having to look at the fridge and then say, oh, today what do I cook, tomorrow what do I cook, and that's what I hate. Yes.
Home delivery has also, I think, worsened this whole has increased this confusion. You can just flip through Big Basket or Milk Basket ki kal kya mangana hai. Earlier, I remember when I was at least a child, my parents would, go to the sabzi mandi and get the sabzi for the entire week. So there was never a confusion. Sabko pata hai roz kya banna hai. There's no confusion at all. Now it's like raat ko I decide, acha kal kya banana hai. Oh, ye hai nahi, chalo let's order it. And the worst is when the quality delivered is not good. Then you're like, ab kya banau main? Ye to the kharab.
Yes, that reminds me. Last time, just some 3 days ago, so Prema had been. I know this Blinkit is really popular these days, and Prema had been ordering from Blinkit. Every day, some 3 orders would come, and the last time she ordered kale. Okay, and she ordered some 500 grams, 250 grams, I don't know, and she had what she received was really, really poor quality. It was yellow and such a tiny bunch that came. And also Blinkit did not send the few times she's ordered, the receipt had not come. Once many of the items she had ordered did not come. Now without the receipt, they are saying that we can't refund or we don't do the refund. So really, really bad experience. So with veggies, for example, I would rather go to the place, and because I have had bad experience with Big Basket many years ago, and then I stopped buying veggies online, very, very scared. And then Prema was really happy with Blinkit, and then this happened. Blinkit blinded her. So that's been my experience of it. Now it's a waste, right? We are not able to get the money back. We can't exchange the product. Yeah.
I also bring all the ingredients from Sabji Mandi like fruits and vegetables for the week. And then in the morning, I make gravies. Then whole day it's become very easy for me. Each day I have to make one vegetable. As it's planned for the week, I bring 6 vegetables, 6 fruits this way.
That's really nice idea. 6 vegetables and 6 fruits for the week until next visit to the mandi.
Yeah.
I think it's an important thing. This is probably the first book where there's a chapter on food, and it's an important expense that invariably we go ahead and do. So I should start cooking more often.
Okay, Garima.
I'm already stressed.
Okay, Rupal is saying, I had a rule to make khichdi for dinner and not ordering in. Okay, Meryl is saying, I've started composting all leftovers from the veggies. For the veggies I am growing. Wow, the produce is getting better and the new soil is free of cost. Wow, amazing. Okay. Anything else, guys, on this before we go on to read more?
I think another very good tip or a commandment that is said that you may want to have something that is not in your pantry or your kitchen, but see what you have in your kitchen at that point of time and then make do with that. You can still make a meal that day. You don't necessarily have to have the particular thing that you are, that you have suddenly thought of. I think that's important, because otherwise what you have might spoil by the next day or the next meal or whatever. And anyway, in Indian kitchens, we have certain staples that, like dals and frozen peas in the freezer maybe. So, और कुछ नहीं तो दाल और आलू मटर बना लो, कुछ कर, मतलब that sort of a thing. Rather than thinking in your mind कि नहीं आज तो मुझे गोभी खानी थी तो मुझे वही मंगानी पड़ेगी. Be a bit flexible कि क्या खाना है.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would also help.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
We should do no spend month again, Sheetal. Remember last year, I think last year or last year, we did 3 months at a stretch.
Yes, no spend month.
Yeah.
A good month. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a little more of reading. Chalo Garima, may I invite you? It's incomplete when you don't read.
Ah, thank you. We have gathered recipes and tips from a relative Italian grandmother, my partner's grandmother. So break out that glass of wine and put away that credit card, because you're not spending a regrettable amount on takeout food tonight. We are cooking. One of the first things you'll need to take care of in deciding you are going to be someone who cooks is setting up a kitchen. No matter where you live, sprawling farmhouse or cramped Manhattan studio, you're going to need the same basic tools. You might fall anywhere on the current kitchen spectrum, from I don't own utensils that aren't left over from a takeout order, or I go to Sula table when I'm drunk and buy zesters to relieve my tension. Personally, I fall distinctly into the latter side of the dichotomy. And I know that my habit of buying kitchen supplies out of passion instead of necessity has only ended in serious culinary remorse. The first apartment I had to myself was so small that the shower was in the kitchen, literally. And yet, I still justified a trip to an upscale home goods store to buy a mint green immersion blender. Since then, through my many kitchens, I've gotten better about planning ahead and waiting to see what I need before buying it. You may find as you go that a waffle iron is something you crave and actually wish to use every day. Or you may want 3 different types of blender and food processors for your morning smoothies. Or you may need every kind of baking tray from muffins to buns. All of those things are dependent on who you are as a home cook. But according to my mom, outside of your basic pots and pans, here are the tools any budget Juliet child is going to want in her kitchen, regardless of individual recipe preferences. Fuller Hunt, Chelsea's mom and domestic goddess, essential kitchen tools. Butcher's knife, this is your multi-purpose chopping and cutting knife. I use it for all types of food and smash garlic cloves with the side of it. Bread knife for cutting a lot of soft spongy things, not just bread. Wood cutting board, wood is naturally antibacterial, easier on knives and can be refinished as needed. I use one side for meat and one for veggies. Large mixing bowl, one each of high quality stainless pot and pan. Invest in quality cookware and build outward from the absolute essential pot and pan. Whisk. This is essential when making sauce with a roux, cornstarch, or a flour slurry. Rolling pin. Making your own dough is cheap and easy, and the dough is totally freezable when you need it. Also handy for breaking up ice cubes. Grater. Box graters with options to slice, zest handle, several jobs at once. Wooden spatula to stir and cook without scratching. Rubber spatula to scrape bowls down and get every last drop. Metal spatula perfect for cooking and serving lots of baked goods. Tongs, preferably with heat-resistant, rubber-tipped ends for grabbing. Peeler, small food processor. I have had the one my mother bought me 21 years ago, and it's been a lifesaver for when I have a lot of mice and place to prepare, chopping a lot of different things. And it makes salad dressings, vinaigrettes, shreds, cheese, chopped herbs, and whipped cream. Heck, you can even make butter in it. Measuring cups and spoons, one's for dry ingredient and one's for liquid. Baking sheet and loaf to get you started on your oven. Quality kitchen towels. These serve many purposes, from handling hot dishes to cleaning up messes, and they cut down on paper towel cost. Thermometer. Everything from roast chicken to homemade deep fried donuts will come out right. Fuller's rules for buying kitchen supplies. Get some basics that you know you will always need, and wait to see your cooking habits before you buy the elaborate stuff. It's better to start with only a few high quality items like skillets, pots, trays, etc., than a big set of something made of crappy material. Thrift stores and garage moving sales can be your best friend when it comes to high-end kitchen tools and tableware. Not everything needs to be new. Once you've got your own kitchen stocked with enough basic tools to actually make and serve something, what do you make? The key here is to stop thinking in terms of individual recipes and start thinking in terms of always being able to make something with what I have at home. If you have to go out and get every single ingredient for everything you want to cook, including basic things like seasoning and oils, you are way more likely to just say, whatever, I'm ordering it. Having the supplies you need to whip up something with whatever ingredients you have hanging out in the fridge, and more important, being able to make it taste good, is how you get truly comfortable with home cooking. At TED, we have zeroed in on what we feel are the basic ingredients every home cook should have in the kitchen, the bare minimum. These are the essentials, and they will take you through many a basic recipe and a whipped together something or other when you come home tipsy and are hesitant between a quick pasta dish and a $30 seamless order. I promise.
She missed out the pressure cooker.
There's a pressure cooker. They don't need it, probably.
That's
Yeah.
what our list will definitely have a pressure cooker. Karai.
Absolutely.
Pressure cooker is a must.
Yes.
Alas ke days mein jab dalo.
Yes.
And also, pressure cooker saves a lot on the fuel, like the gas or whatever. But non-Asian people get very scared of the pressure cooker because, you know, that when the सीटी बजती है, so they panic. They think that something is going to explode. So yeah, our kitchens would be different.
Yeah.
But I think her tips about, like, see what sort of a cook you are before, you know, especially if you're setting up a kitchen.
Yeah.
Then
Very
basically
important tip
don't just
for-
buy a thing because it's pretty and you feel that it'll fit in with your decor, but see whether you're actually, you sort of cook what that implement is supposed to do.
So I
Yeah.
think it's a very good tip for, you know, the youngsters who are, you know,
Yeah.
trying to live away on their own, or the newly married, because you just want to buy all the fancy things. कि मैं ये भी ले लूं, वो भी ले लूं, not being practical. So I think this is a very important aspect, small but very important.
Yeah.
Honestly, एक कढ़ाई, cooker and one milk bowl, we all can survive with that, or, you know, chakla belan, whatever in India we use. We don't need fancy things. But when you look at the new age, you know, every time, for example, when I'm on Instagram and I look at Rena Germany ka items, I'm like, ye bhi hona chahiye. Then I'm like, karoge kya? Let it be. So it's a very important tip, I feel.
Yeah, I think I highly appreciate that she's even put it down, you know, really unexpected stuff that I'm getting to see in her book. And for somebody, you know, who is really starting out on living alone and creating a home. So highly, truly appreciate it. Yes. And I think this book is going to bring out the chef in all of us that maybe we attempted during the lockdown, major lockdown that happened. So a lot of recipes that I see coming up, and if it gives you ideas for meal prep, if you use some ideas, you know, then please share in the group on whatever helps us save more money, enjoy our time in the kitchen, enjoy life, enjoy the process. Please do keep sharing. So what is each one taking away, especially our dear community members who have joined us for the first time? Please share, what are you taking away from today's book reading and discussion? You can unmute or you can type it out. We'll give you guys a minute to do that. And I will, in the meantime, announce that we will continue reading chapter 4. So for the rest of the week, until we meet again, we will read chapter 4 and keep sharing the insights, your awesome ideas in the Telegram book club. Okay, so let's see, what are you guys taking away? Please share in the chat or unmute and share.
I think it was a good validation for me of a lot of things that I'm already doing. But I just feel like when you read these kinds of books, you feel good. Otherwise, it's like kind of like you feel you're getting eccentric by doing all these things, but actually you're not, right? Like you're actually doing some hard labor, and it has like very tangible benefits in terms of health, and yeah, even just generally getting more active and being very hands-on, right? Like bringing up the energy.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, Meryl has shared one of her blogs in the blog post in the Telegram group. So do check it out. I read it. It was, I really enjoyed reading it. And she has a blog, Mistress of Moolah, where she writes about her experience of building wealth and all her learning from all the sources. So do check it out. Okay. So Sarah is writing this. She's taking back, don't waste grocery, though I know I shouldn't, I will pay more attention. Okay, what else for others? Usha, Suman, Sneha, Rashmi, Nitika, Jisha, what are you taking back?
Yeah, I am learning. What I have learned is that we should be mindful whatever we purchase.
Beautiful. Thank you for saying that. We should be mindful is what you're taking away. Okay. So ladies, do share in the book club if you're still thinking about assimilating whatever we discussed today, then do share in the club and keep reading. this book. If some of you have not accessed it, the link will be shared in the group. The link to the collection of books that we have, access it. This book is also in the library. Okay, so thank you all for joining and for the lovely discussion. We will come back and meet next week, next Friday. Happy Friday, happy weekend, everyone. Have a great time. Take care.
Bye.